Have you ever noticed that sometimes, the more we try to control everything, the more life seems to slip through our fingers? It's as if there's something, or rather someone, trying to guide us down a different path. And maybe the question you need to ask today isn't, why are things like this, but am I listening to God's call? Because yes, He still calls. And when He calls, it's to transform. How many times have you felt you were born for something greater, but circumstances and fears shouted louder? How many times have you looked around and thought, I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. Well, that's exactly where the miracle begins. The call isn't for the perfect, it's for the willing. And when the chosen one says yes, even the impossible starts to give way. Throughout this video, you'll discover that there's no such thing as chance in your story. Every pain, every loss, every weight had a purpose. You'll understand that faith isn't a refuge for the weak, but a force that awakens the strong. Do you know what many people still don't get? That the so-called heroes of faith weren't born ready. David was just a forgotten shepherd in the fields. Elijah was afraid and wanted to give up. Ruth was a foreigner with no future, and Sarah doubted the promise. And yet God chose each one of them. This shows it's not about perfection, it's about availability. When the heart is open, heaven moves. Faith doesn't require a resume, it requires surrender. And what transforms the ordinary into extraordinary is the divine touch that works in the unseen. I too had to learn that God's purpose doesn't depend on our credentials, but on our response. The yes David gave, the here I am of Isaiah, the let it be of Mary. These were open doors to the impossible. You may feel small, but remember, the greatest deeds began with simple people who dared to believe. And when you grasp this, you start to realize that you too are a chosen one, called for your time. There's no coincidence in the kingdom, there's purpose. And that's where true strength lies. There's a silent power within those who've been through pain and still stand. Sometimes you look back and don't understand how you survived, but God knows. He sustained you when everything said it was over. That power isn't arrogance or self-confidence. It's living faith pulsing within, saying it's not over yet. If you're breathing, it's because heaven still has plans for you. Every tear shed was a seed planted in the soil of overcoming. And that's where transformation begins, when you realize the strength isn't outside but within. When you pray, even without strength. When you decide to try again, even when exhausted. That's God working in you. So stop underestimating what you carry. Stand up with faith, look in the mirror, and see the chosen one heaven has already recognized. Pain doesn't define you, it prepares you. Because those who survive the fire don't return the same. They return with power, purpose, and a glow the world can't extinguish. Nothing changes on the outside until something changes on the inside. It's as if God waits for the moment when the mind aligns with the promise to release the miracle. The truth is, you can't live like a victor while thinking like a victim. When you understand that you're not self-sufficient but carry the Creator's power within you, everything changes. Faith isn't an escape from reality. It's the strength that makes you face the impossible with courage. Thinking small is denying what God placed in you. When the mind opens to divine favor, doors open too. The dreams that seemed distant start to make sense, and hope regains its color. That mindset holds the key to transformation, believing that the same God who raised giants of faith continues to raise ordinary people, like you. So instead of asking, "Can I do this?" ask, "How will God use me?" And you'll see that the impossible isn't a limit. It's just the stage where faith shines. Deborah had no crown, throne, or title, but she had something the world couldn't give, a willing heart. In the midst of chaos, she stood up and said, "I can do something." And that was enough for God to work through her. Sometimes power is hidden in simplicity, in the woman who prays for her children, in the young person who persists in doing good, in the man who doesn't give up despite being weary. That's how heaven works, choosing those the world wouldn't choose. Deborah's story is a reminder that faith doesn't depend on position, but on purpose. She understood that when God calls, no scenario is too difficult. And you? Are you willing to be a voice of courage amid the confusion? Because the same God who guided Deborah wants to guide you. And when he gives direction, the impossible bows. It all starts with a decision. To stop waiting for the perfect moment and start acting with the right heart. How many times have you caught yourself saying, "I'm just an ordinary person"? That's the subtlest trap the enemy plants. The idea that the little you are isn't enough. But God never called someone by the label the world gave them. He looks beyond appearances and sees the purpose hidden in the heart. When you say, "I'm just," you're diminishing what the Creator amplified, and heaven doesn't move by titles, but by faith. This is what I learned through tears and new beginnings. There's no just when you're a child of the Most High. The same power that raised Christ lives in you, so why see yourself as small? True humility isn't denying the gift, it's using it with gratitude. Change your words today. Say, "I'm part of God's plan, I'm capable, I'm chosen." And little by little, you'll see divine favor pushing your boundaries beyond what you imagined. The difference between those who win and those who give up isn't luck. It's trust. Deborah didn't wait to have everything under control to act. She believed that with God, the impossible was possible. When faith becomes action, the scene changes. Maybe the circumstances around you still seem confusing, but trust. God works behind the scenes. The faith that stands firm amid uncertainty is the one that moves mountains. And when that trust matures, something powerful happens. You start to see the invisible. What once seemed like an end becomes a new beginning. That's how it was with Deborah, and it can be with you. Because God doesn't choose the prepared, He prepares those who say yes. Believe, when you step into the water, the sea parts. The miracle doesn't come before faith, it comes after the step, and every step in trust is a silent declaration of victory. Do you know why many stay trapped in the same problems? Because they look at them with the wrong eyes. When you believe the obstacle is bigger than your God, you lose sight of the power within you. But when you shift your focus, the battle shifts too. The secret isn't to flee from difficulty, it's to face it with faith. Every challenge is an invitation to prove that heaven is still on your side. I've seen people transform their stories just by changing how they view pain. A friend of mine battled addiction for years until he decided to see the situation as an opportunity for growth, not a prison. That's when everything started to change. God doesn't remove mountains to spare you effort. He teaches you to climb them with courage. Life doesn't get easier, but you get stronger. And that's where the supernatural begins to work. The greatest battle doesn't happen outside, but in the mind. Thoughts of defeat disguise themselves as reality, but they're just shadows trying to steal your light. When the inner voice says, "You can't," it's time to respond with faith. "I can do all things through Him who strengthens me." You have to speak to your soul, because silence feeds fear. And those who stay silent in the face of doubt become its prisoner. So don't accept everything that crosses your mind as truth. Question it, confront it, declare the word. If a thought of weakness comes, say, "I'm strong because God lives in me." That simple act has the power to rewire your heart. Thoughts build realities, so build with faith. When you learn to master what you think, you start to master what you live. And what was once confusion becomes clarity guided by the Spirit. There are stories that seem simple but carry silent miracles. I remember a friend who for years believed he was trapped in addiction until the day he decided to see himself as God saw him. He swapped, "I'm weak, for I'm strong in the Lord," and that shift was the start of his freedom. With every fall, he prayed, got up, and kept going. Little by little, faith took the place that guilt once held, and when the heart aligns with purpose, the impossible loses its power. Today, that man who once hid in the shadows now helps others rediscover the light. He understood that faith isn't a shield to avoid struggles, but a sword to win battles. God didn't spare him the war, but taught him to fight with hope. And that's how it works with us. When we believe in the power within us, what once controlled us becomes part of our testimony. The secret is not giving up before the turnaround, because heaven always has a plan in motion. A boy looked at the school bully with fear until one day he picked up a telescope and by mistake looked through the wrong end. Suddenly the bully seemed small, and the fear vanished. That's the perfect picture of how many live, seeing their problems magnified while God seems distant. But when you flip the telescope and view life through the Creator's perspective, everything changes. What was once giant now fits in the palm of His hand. Faith does exactly that. It adjusts the lens of the soul. When you focus on God, the mountain shrinks, fear loses its power, and the future gains color. It's a shift in perspective, from despair to trust, from doubt to certainty. And the most beautiful part, God doesn't need much to change everything, just your gaze fixed on Him. So before you complain about the size of the problem, look again. Maybe it only seems big because you haven't yet adjusted the focus of your faith.